Good day, everyone. I am Camilo S. Mendoza. Today, I'm gonna report Chapter 11, Introduction of Psychological Skills Training, or so what we call PST. Psychological Skills Training, or PST, refers to systematic and consistent practice of mental or psychological skills for the purpose of enhancing of performance, increasing employment, or achieve greater sport and physical activity self-satisfaction. So when we say psychological skills training, it talks about the systematic and consistent practice of mental or psychological skills. So the purpose of enhancing performance, increasing enjoyment, or achieving greater sport and physical activity. The methods and techniques that are standard elements of PST originally came from a wide range of sources that are mostly in mainstream psychology. So these areas included behavior modification, cognitive theory and therapy, rational emotive therapy, goal setting, attentional control, progressive muscle relaxation, and systematic desensitization. So coaches and athletes all know that physical skills need to be regularly practiced and refined through thousands and thousands of repetitions. So similar to physical skills, psychological skills, such as maintaining and focusing concentration, regulating arousal levels, enhancing confidence, and maintaining motivation also need to be systematically practiced. So, example, Jim needed to practice the psychological skill or relaxation so he could deal with the pressure of shooting free throws under intense game pressure. So just telling an athlete to relax won't produce the desired response unless the player already knows how to relax through prior practice and training. So thus guidelines have been developed to make mental training more effective. So why PST is important? So, the importance of mental skills or PST is seen in the highly valued attribute of mental toughness. Although mental toughness is defined in different ways, it usually has to do with an athlete's ability to focus, ability to rebound from failure, ability to cope with pressure, determination to persist in the face of adversity, and mental resilience. PST targets building and developing these mental skills which are perceived to be critical for athletic success. Defining and building mental toughness. So studies have produced several different definitions of mental toughness which has produced some conflicts in the literature. So Jones and colleagues in 2002, taking qualitative approach, provided the first empirical data on what makes up mental toughness. So this included the construct of motivation, dealing with pressure, confidence, and concentration. Jones, Hanton, and Kunnafton in 2007 found that these attributes of mental toughness were employed before, during, and after competition. So, Clow, Earl, and Sewell in 2002 hypothesized four critical constructs, or what we call 4C. These are control, commitment, challenge, and confidence. So first is the control. So control, handling many things at once, remaining influential rather than controlled. And the commitment, being deeply involved with pursuing goals despite difficulties, and challenge, perceiving potentials, threats as opportunities for personal growth and thriving in constantly changing environment. And the last is confidence, maintaining belief in the self despite setback. So those are the 4C, the 4C of Clough, Earl, and Sewell. So we have building mental toughness. So building mental toughness, researchers and practitioners have focused on how to build mental toughness. So some researchers have found that athletes attribute their mental toughness to factors that are generally caught. So these factors included siblings, rivalries, supportive parents, coach expectations, a motivational training environment, teammate encouragement, tough practice, and coping with failure. So other researchers focus on what coaches actually do to enhance mental toughness. So the techniques included creating a positive motivational practice environment and intense competitive practices, creating simulations, setting specific goal, providing instructional and supportive feedback, building confidence through rigorous physical preparation and conditioning, enhancing attentional control through self-statements, and making appropriate attributions for success and failures. So most coaches consider sport to be at least 50% mental when competing against an opponent of similar ability, and certain sports are consistently viewed as 80% to 90% mental. So, thus, as one coach noted, psychological testing can help identify each individual's psychological strengths and weaknesses, and then coaches can act on that knowledge by implementing an appropriate training program. So we have also the superior performance intelligence. So the purpose of this is to help explain sustained success in different performance domain. Elite individuals in different domains were interviewed, and some common threads that make up superior performance intelligence were identified. So knowing how to maximize your importance. So first is knowing yourself. So knowing yourself, it is a knowing who you really are and what you are capable of doing. And the second one is stretching yourself. It is the wanting to be the best, having a personal vision of success, belief in one's abilities to achieve success. And the last is sustaining yourself. It is the achieving good life balance, beginning with the end in mind, recovering from failure, and celebrating success. So we have also knowing how to work with your environment. So first, knowing your environment. So having a deep knowledge and awareness of the performance environment, especially which aspects are controllable and which are uncontrollable. So that is the knowing your environment. We have also the shaping your environment. So shaping your environment talks the ensuring that the people around you are committed to working together toward a common vision to deliver success. That's how you shaping your environment. And the last is being in time with your environment. Reacting quickly to changing circumstances, maintaining supportive relationships by staying humble. That's how you be a being in time with your environment. So we have also knowing how to deliver with high performance. First is planning and preparing. So planning and preparing, it is being clear about what constitutes success, planning for every what if situation, knowing and achieving your optimal emotional state. That's how you plan and prepare. And also we have delivering. How you deliver your performance under pressure, trusting your institution, controlling the controllables, making crystal clear decisions, knowing when to change the plan. So how you deliver your plan, your decision, and how you perform under pressure. And the last is evaluating. It is comparing against measurement criteria, recognizing the positives as well as the negatives. So identifying what needs work. That's how you evaluate. So why sport and exercise participants neglect PST? So if psychological skills are so important for success, why do people spend too little time developing psychological skills in order to enhance performance? PST is neglected by many coaches and participants for three basic reasons: lack of knowledge, misunderstandings about psychological skills, and lack of time. So, lack of knowledge, many people don't really understand how to teach or practice psychological skills. So, for example, some coaches teach concentration by shouting, concentrate out there, or will you get your mind on what you're supposed to be doing? So the implicit assumption is that the player knows how to concentrate but is just not doing it. So another practice, common practice is um, is telling a player to just relax. So as he goes into an important performance. But this is not easy to do unless one has had training and relaxation skills. So coaches and teaching pros have told us that they simply do not feel comfortable teaching mental skills. They know about skill execution and technique, but not about how to teach specific mental skills. So, the days of simply telling players, don't choke, get psyched up, be confident, stay loose, be mentally tough or concentrate, or on their way out. We are learning that such advice requires action-oriented approach and plans for improving mental skills. So, so the second one is misunderstandings about psychological skills. So people don't enter the world equipped with mental skills because it is a misconception that champions are born rather than made. So yes, we are all born with certain physical and psychological predispositions, but skills can be learned and developed depending on the experiences we encounter. No, no greater athletes ever achieves stardom without endless hours of practice. So honing and refining physical skills and techniques. So although some athletes do possess exceptional physical skills, they had to work hard to develop their talents to become champions. So for example, as physically talented and gifted as Michael Jordan, his competition said his most impressive trait was his competitiveness. And the last one is the lack of time. So a third reason that coaches and athletes cite for that practicing psychological skills is too little time. So yet people reason that they lost a particular game or competition because the reason why the reason is that I wasn't up for the game today. I just couldn't seem to concentrate, or I get too tight and choke. So you would think that if coaches thought that their teams lost because of poor concentration, they would make time to practice concentration skills. Instead, they typically add time to physical practice. So having noted the reasons that athletes cite for not practicing mental skills, research indicates that this is starting to change, although it depends somewhat on individual and task differences. Whereas individual sport athletes were interested in mental skills that would improve performance and practice and competition. So we have also the myths about PST. So several myths will circulate about the use of psychological techniques in optimizing performance. So it is researched by Martin in 2005. So revealed that male athletes, younger athletes, and athletes who have been socialized in sports that involve physical contact still assign in particular stigma to sport psychology consulting. So unfortunately, many of these myths only confuse the issue of what SPC can and cannot do to help athletes maximize their performance. So myth 1, PST is for problem athletes only. So many people wrongly think that all sports psychologists work with athletes who have been psychological and clinical problems. So rather, most athletes' psychological needs can be addressed by educational sports psychology specialists who focus on helping develop mental skills in athletes with a normal range of functioning. So examples of various PST needs. So educational sports psychologists. So goal setting, imagery, arousal regulation, concentration, and mental preparation. So this about the clinical sports psychologist. So eating disorders, substance abuse, personality disorder, severe depression or anxiety, and the last one is psychopathology. That is myth 1. And proceed with the myth 2. So PST is for elite training only. So PST is not only for the elite. So it is appropriate for all athletes, including young, developing athletes and special populations such as people who are mentally disabled or intellectually challenged. So physically challenged or hearing impaired. So myth 2 is PST for elite training only. So myth lang na siya. And we have also myth 3. So PST provides quick fix solutions. That is myth 3. So many people mistakenly think that sports psychology offers a quick fix to psychological problems. So sometimes athletes and coaches expect to learn how to concentrate or to stay calm under pressure in one of two lessons. We have myth 4. The last myth. So PST is not useful. So some people still think that sports psychology has nothing positive to offer. This is highlighted by the comment of former Wimbledon champion Goran Ivanisevic, who stated, "You lie on a cuff, they take your money and you walk out more bananas than when you walk in." So however, substantial scholarly research, as well as anecdotal reports from coaches and athletes, indicates that psychological do in fact enhance performance. So at the same time, the research also shows that effective PST efforts must be carried out in a systematic but individualized fashion. So over time, using a variety of psychological techniques. So we're gonna proceed with the effectiveness of PST. So learning how effective PST program can be in improving sport performance inquiries well-controlled outcome-based intervention studies conducted in competitive environments. So compared with national level athletes, international caliber athletes use mental training more often and employ more elaborate and complex mental strategies and techniques. So applied sports psychologists have begun to understand that to be effective, so as psychological interventions must be carried out in an individualized, systematic manner over time, often using a variety of psychological techniques to form an integrated program. So things made SPC effective. So building a connection with athletes, developing a connection with athletes, enable the SPC to educate athletes and lead them toward positive changes in behavior. So building a professional consulting relationship, effective SPCs are emphatic. So accepting open, approachable, and maintain professionalism at all time. We have also meeting athletes' need. So effective SPC balance professional knowledge and relationship skills in order to meet the needs of the athletes. We have also three phases of PSD programs. So these are education phase, acquisition phase, and practice phase. So education phase. So in the education phase, participating quickly recognize how important it is to acquire psychological skills and how the skills affect performance. So the usual way to accomplish this is simply by asking participants how important they think the mental side of sport performances. So the education phase may last for as little as an hour or for as long as several hours over the course of a few days. So the important part of the education phase involved increasing athletes' awareness of the role that mental skills play in performance. So the acquisition phase is focuses on strategies and techniques for learning the various psychological skills. So for the development of arousal regulation skills, and for example, formal meetings might focus on replacing negative self-statements that surface under stressful, competitive conditions with positive coping statement. And the last one is practice phase. So the practice phase has three primary objectives. The automate skills through over learning to teach people to systematically integrate psychological skills into their performance situations. And the last is and to stimulate skills people will want to apply in actual competition. We have also the self-regulation. So this is the ultimate goal of PST. So the ultimate goal of PST is to have athletes effective function on their own without needing constant direction from a coach of or sport psychologist. So thus, after PST, an athlete should be able to self-regulate her internal functions in the desired manner and successfully adapt to change in the world around her. The ability to work towards one's short and long-term goals by effectively monitoring and managing one's thoughts, feelings, and behavior has been termed self-regulations. We have also the 5 stages of Kirschen booms. So stage 1 is problem identification. So problem identification, it is the ability to identify a problem that change is possible and desirable and take responsibility for its solution. And we have also stage 2, the commitment. So commitment is to change and deal with obstacles such as slowness of progress and the need for regular practice and mental skills that will arise during the change process. So stage 3, the execution. It is the self-evaluate, self-monitor, develop appropriate expectancies, and self-reinforce. We have also stage 4, the environmental. It is the planning and deriving strategies for managing the social and physical environment that affect the athletes. That is the environment. Environment affect to the athletes. We have also the stage 5, the generalization. It is involved sustaining efforts over time and extending behaviors to new conditions and setting. So that's all. Mr. Ruel Orita will continue the reporting. Thank you very much. Good day.